just... Oh, I clapped. Hi internet! I wanted to start my video off by saying a big thank you to Victoria for filling in for me for a few weeks. I unfortunately had a tragedy in my family. We had a death in the family. But I'm back this week and I wanted to have a chat about psychology. It's not something I guess we're used to talking about as a it's not something we're used to talking about as a society. That took a little while for me to get through that sentence. Basically, I know that going to see a psychiatrist or a psychologist can be really nerve-wracking, especially the first time you go to see one. So basically the difference between the two is a psychiatrist is someone that your GP can refer you to either. But your GP, you can only get a referral to a psychiatrist. You can't just, well at least in Australia, you can't just rock up to a psychiatrist. You can ask for a referral, that's perfectly cool. Your GP will generally, or should at least, if you've got a GP. If your GP won't refer you to a psychiatrist, change your GP. A psychiatrist can diagnose you with mental illness after taking like a history and listening to you. They can also prescribe medications. Psychologists are a little bit different in the way that they work because you can make an appointment with one without a referral. With a psychologist, they cannot prescribe medications. They can often make a recommendation because they can work in conjunction with GPs and psychiatrists to sort of say, I think this person probably has depression, let's get that checked out, or this person probably has anxiety, let's get that checked out. But they also engage in things like talk therapy, which is essentially the most amazing thing. They're also really lovely people. With that said, just like GPs, not every psychologist or psychiatrist is for every single person. Don't be put off if you are referred to a psychologist or a psychiatrist who you just genuinely don't like, or who you feel is not very appropriate for you, or who you feel has not helped you at all. Just move on and try another one. You will find one that is helpful for you. So essentially, it's like going to see a GP. So when you walk into the building, you register yourself at the desk. You say, my name's so-and-so. I have an appointment with, it doesn't matter if you don't know their name. The receptionist will look you up, tick you off the list, and probably let you know what the psychologist or psychiatrist's name is. So you go and sit down and wait till your name is called. Generally speaking, either a nurse or the psychologist or psychiatrist themselves will come out and get you when it's time. They will just come out to the waiting room and call your name and then say hey, and they will lead you back through like a corridor or somewhere. So once you go and sit down, they'll introduce themselves and do something to basically make you feel at ease. Generally speaking, if you've been referred especially, they will have notes from your GP. If not, the clinic usually will send out some sort of questionnaire to you, to your house, by the post a few weeks before you for you to fill in, which you will give to them at that time. Or they will sometimes give you a questionnaire to fill out during the first half of the appointment. They will generally, as you're filling it out, they will attend to the emails. They don't just sit and stare at you in awkward silence. So basically, in my experience, this little bit of paper kind of assesses where you are on the scale of depression and anxiety. And then they just sort of ask you basically how you're feeling, which they're usually generally pretty prepared for people not to want to open up to them on the first go. Although it's pretty awesome that you've gotten so far as to get to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. So go you for getting to this point. But they're really understanding and caring people, so they'll ask gentle probing questions. And it's also important to mention at this point that you are always totally welcome to take a friend or a family member into these appointments with you if you want to, if that makes you feel comfortable. They generally never have an issue with this, ever. They will ask you a lot of questions. Some of them seem a little random, they'll ask you questions about where you live and whether you live alone, do you have pets, do you go walking for exercise. So they try and gauge how you engage with people and how many friends you have and all sorts of things to try and get a honest identity of how you live and how you feel about your life. And it's kind of that tells them more about how you feel than than you necessarily realise. And it also helps like move along with the conversation, so you don't necessarily need to worry about going heaps deep and meaningful when you feel like you don't know them yet. Generally, they will make notes. They're not like writing horrible things about you, they're just literally writing down notes of what you've said, which is part of the way that they listen to you, so that they don't have to keep asking you the same questions every time you go. They can also be really useful to like help solve problems that you didn't realise were problems. Like my psychologist helped me find a program that basically matched me up with a volunteer to help teach me how to drive in my local area. So it's things you don't even really think about that they can help you achieve, I guess. Towards the end of the appointment, especially with psychiatrists, they'll sort of summarise what you talked about and they'll try and book another appointment with you if it's necessary. And the psychiatrists will basically do a GP and they'll give you like a diagnosis and they'll talk about medications you might need or treatments that you might need in the future. Psychologists obviously won't, because they can't necessarily give you treatments medication wise. Psychiatrists will give you prescriptions, they aren't going to give you the medication. Well, might be different in America, but in Australia they can't actually give you the medication from their office. They will give you a prescription to go to the pharmacy. It's surprisingly more comfortable than you would think. It does very quickly feel like you're talking to a friend. They have a real knack, a lot of the time, for making you feel at home. So my battery died. It's about to die again. But if seeing a psychiatrist or a psychologist is something that would help you, I definitely recommend it. Or if it's something that you don't even know would help you but you're interested in, absolutely get a referral from a GP or just call your psychiatrist. Or just call your psychologist's office and make an appointment. It is awesome. Talk therapy and the other therapies that are on offer for you that you should talk through with your psychologist or psychiatrist can be a help beyond description for a lot of people. I hope that my video, its intention was to sort of take some of the nerves away from your first appointment, or from people's first appointments attending psychology and psychiatry. If it was a bit all over the place, I'm sorry, it's 3 o'clock in the morning where I am. I hope that you guys have a great week ahead of you, and don't forget to comment on the video. Don't forget to comment on the video if there's anything that I have left off that you would like to add to this week's conversation. And also to our Facebook page, which I will link down below. Also, hit us up on Twitter. There'll be a discussion going on. There's always a discussion going on Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe. I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. And you'll see Victoria next week for the upcoming video, I believe. Alright, bye!